having is, so I'm looking at that master broken. It's from 6 months ago. So things have changed a lot I'm just investigating essentially, playing around with Jest, trying to understand what caused that broken master. So the MR was green for this particular broken master, and those 3 specs started failing for everybody else. The MR is this one here. So introducing pipeline schedules, which is mostly front-end related, I would say. And the pipelines were green because we are running, we call them predictive tests. So essentially only a subset of tests, not the entire suite.
Right.
At least at the time we did that. And my problem, or what I don't understand, is the spec that is failing. One of the specs that is failing is this one, CI variable lists. And I see this file, on at least the source file, is being referenced, is being used by pipeline schedules, but we don't touch it in the MR. And the only relationship that I see between pipeline schedule and CI variables list is the fact that pipeline schedules uses CI variable lists. But I don't understand how changing pipeline schedules or introducing them would break CI variables lists. And I've been stuck there for a while.
Yeah. So go into that MR. So this is all 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Okay. So this introduced, I see, pipeline scheduled, or I don't know if those are new components, or yeah, those are new components. And it introduces a feature flag.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Oh, and I must mention something else. I didn't understand the fix, but it was mentioned that it was easy, blah, blah. Where was it? I will find it here. Yeah, we needed to stub feature flags. So that apparently fixed the problem. But to be fair, I don't understand what that does. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think I might know. Can we go back to the MR?
Yeah, of course.
So this is also sorry, we're gonna bounce around. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's right.
Can we go to the test that failed? Can we look at that? And maybe even do we need to look at it, what it looked like 6 months ago? Are we?
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. So we could check the job and then no, wait. Well, I could check the MR. No, but no, actually, let's do this. Let's take
I'm fine if we want to just see what it looks like now. Like,
okay.
I mean, it would be interesting, maybe, but
what it looks like now is this one.
Helpers, fixtures, load HTML fixture. Ah, so interesting. Line 14.
Yeah, this one.
Pipeline schedules edit HTML.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go back to that MR.
Which is, here.
Pipeline schedules controller. If we go to the controllers project. Okay. Yep. And then if we go to edit HTML HAML, done on up there. Yeah. So previously we rendered a form. But now if the feature is enabled, we don't render the form anymore. We render this pipeline schedules form edit. But the CI variable spec was using this HTML file, the whole form. It was trying to read from the form. So like I think we would see that in the let's test that hypothesis by, can we look at what the failed messages were for that test?
Yeah, of course. It's right here. So wait, that's native form.
Yeah, it's not even able to find certain things it's trying to find. Yes, because the fixture changed under the hood, because we wrapped the previous behavior. We introduced new behavior with a feature flag, But in test environment, feature flags are always on, and fixtures count as a test environment. So generating these fixtures for the Jest test to read, we run those fixture RSpec files, and feature flags are on by default. So we broke one of the fixtures. What would have been absolutely insane, though, is if that test passed on the MR. That's the weirdest part. So did the test actually run on the MR?
No, it did not. That's the
Okay.
part I'm trying. That's
I
a
see.
follow-up story. At the time, what we did, we just heavily relied on how is it called? That Jest flag called find related tests. We heavily relied on this one, and it did not apparently detect anything based on the changes. So based on those files that changed here, it did not detect.
Right.
Yeah, though it didn't run those tests. And after that, I think it was right after this that we decided to run the full pipelines, like front-end pipelines, front-end tests for every MR at least once. Yes. Yeah, okay, so that means that's very interesting. So pipeline schedulers were actually, it's the other way around. I didn't see that. So pipeline schedulers are actually included inside the CI variables. Inside the CI variables list. So CI variables list depend on those, on pipeline schedules.
The tests too. It's possible that none of the production code does. It's just the production code is kind of taking some sort of like integration test approach, and or the test is kind of taking that approach. So it's like, hey, let's just run our bit in the context of this pipeline schedules page. I have no idea. I haven't looked at the production code, but
yeah, okay.
But yeah, the find related test is interesting because that's only going. So it's only going to look at what Jest and the front end know about. But these fixtures are a whole other variable that can be adjusted. I think that I have a feeling that when a flag is being introduced, we've opted to run all things.
Yeah.
And so that sounds like a pretty good it sounds like a pretty good solution for this problem, but I could see it still being possible for maybe instead of a flag, but I've just touched that HTML file and wrapped something that a unit test was expecting so that that thing's not rendering anymore. Whether it was at the flag or whether it was some sort of application setting or whatever it was. So it would have been really cool to find related tests based on touched HTML files. That's a very hard problem, I think. And I don't know if we're eager to solve that one. Maybe we are.
Yeah, actually, we're looking at so what we did for our spec, we did a lot of things like related to that, a bit more advanced mappings. Like for instance, if you change a view, an HTML file, we'll try to run the feature specs that we think are associated. It's mostly probabilistic. It's based on the name, like on the path of the file.
Wow.
But like we've done a few of those, and we're looking now for Jest at the very least to have a static list of files. So if we know, like for the basic ones, like you say, okay, if we change those files around here, we should run those specs around here. Trying to be a bit more advanced, but so far it's only relying on that flag, which I had troubles understanding. So I asked a lot of questions already, got some pretty cool insights about it. I thought the dependency was reversed for some reason. I always thought that, yeah, I looked at it as a dependency tree, but the other way around. I thought if you include something, it will run the tests for that, for the file you're including, and it's the other way around. Anyways,
Yeah,
but I think it's not great. Like the documentation for this flag is not great. So yeah, you kind of have to figure it out.
right. Yeah. I wonder if yeah, the load HTML fixture thing is interesting. I wonder if I wonder if we'd be able to see a list of all of those kind of things that get pulled.
Because this one will load it. Yeah, I need to look into this, what it actually does. Because I have a very basic understanding of fixtures. For me, it's just like instead of relying on the actual implementation of the backend, we just generate the signatures so that the front end can just, and with mock data, right? And then the front end can just pull that. Is that what it does? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You can actually
So,
look at on line 14.
yeah.
If you want to copy this string and
Mhm.
search the project for it, you can see where it gets defined, I think. Oh, not going to the file, but actually
Okay.
do a search for this, a project-wide search for the screen for the string. Just the inner part.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Sorry.
No, you're good. So they're in the front end fixtures. So all of these fixtures have the name of the test is what actually gets written, is the file it gets written to.
Okay.
And so these are all targeting the on line 19, the controller. So
Yeah.
sometimes these fixtures are just API responses, and it looks like sometimes it's actually whole views. So this is how you can get the names of fixtures. So here's an interesting way of looking at it though. You can get the names of fixtures by looking at all of the tests that get declared in our fixtures. Based on the names of fixtures, you could build a whole dependency of what front end tests are depending on what fixtures.
Yeah.
And so then the big question is what backend code touches what fixtures. So I think all of it can be answered. I mean, it's a beefy, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I see. I start to see that. And so, but you were saying something before with the fixtures. So the feature flags, whenever, so they're always enabled, they're always on in the test, which, yeah, I guess makes sense to me. But then, so that, yeah, because we want to fail early, we want to test it. Okay, we want to test it all the time. And here, so we do that. Okay, we have that one here. We're going to generate, we're going to store it somewhere, most probably locally. Okay, then this one runs because it was mentioned in the master broken here. Actually, another issue that we have for ourselves. We mentioned, but I don't have data for that, so I couldn't find like. However, the find rate is enabled to find any text when front end fixtures are loaded with a helper method like load HTML fixture. I That might be true, but I just couldn't verify it. I did some basic rudimental testing, and it was like even if you had load HTML fixture, it was somehow working. Like at least the find related test worked out. But that sentence is a bit cryptic for me. I don't understand where the author came from.
Find is currently being used to run a selective Jest test. Yeah, that's really interesting. Is that the same broken master issue?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I would be really so there's other ways we load fixtures. And doing the load HTML fixture is probably a helper that adds more problems than helps. How familiar do you have you seen the other way we load fixtures in the Jest test?
No, I haven't.
So if we go back to the VS Code, we could do a project-wide search for we could do a project-wide search if you turn on the regex search.
Yeah.
Which is we could do import.star fixture. There's one in mock. There's a whole bunch in mock data you see.
This guy's here.
Yep.
No.
Yep. So we have a Jest alias for test fixtures to go to that temp front end EE, like to go to the temp directory that fixtures get written to. So this is just like we ran import to that exact JSON file that the fixtures get written to. Okay, so all that to say, we run find related tests. And it would be news to me, and I would be really surprised if something that changed one of these fixtures, it was able to find the Jest test using it. Because what I find interesting is, what do we pass to find related tests? Do we just pass the MR changes?
Yes. Yeah, and no, wait, there's something else. We have a, no, but that's not for Jest. It might be. We pass, let me find it. Because I've been working with this recently. We have something, I think I just need to game on fixtures, because every time we talk about those, I feel a bit off. In here, yeah, it's actually this one, predictive tests. We are find changes. That's the one. And here we are using fixture mapping.
Oh, wow.
And where do we pass those? Front end. We essentially add, so at the end of that class, the first thing we pass is the changes from the MR, the file that changed in the MR, and we have that mapping, front end fixture mapping, which is coming from a file, which is, I just need to find the file so that I can find the format. But essentially, we have that mapping key value, where we would find changes. You here, fixture. So this environment variable here. That's one I was looking at. So crystal ball, front end fixtures mapping.json. yeah, it's just, so there is something. I'm not actually sure whether we pass.
Is this checked in? This is something that's generated, or does it get checked in?
I think we cache it. It's not checked. I don't think it's checked into the repo, but we cache it. Yeah. And this one, I would need to see what this one actually does, because I don't know in detail what it does. But I'm not sure whether we use that for Jest, or whether it's only for our spec. But it's probably for Jest. It would make sense.
So look at the
where we use the fixtures.
I think I see. Look at the spec support here on front end fixtures.
Fixtures.
Sorry, if you go to the fourth or fifth search result.
Yeah. Oh yeah, front end fixtures. Mm-hmm.
So after spec support, after all the front end fixtures run, if we have front end fixtures mapping path, then we write to it.
There you go. Yeah.
All of that, and that'd be really, really interesting thing to see. And so that's something that gets passed to find related tests.
I need to check that. But easiest way right now would be to go on master, because I've been working on this quite a lot and I changed the structure quite a lot. So
yeah.
That up. Where is it? Detect. No, find changes. So that's the original one. Okay. Fixture mapping. It's essentially the same. Then we have that file with changes. Oh, but I have a better idea. Let's see what find related test, what we actually use here. So predictive, there you go. Just CI predictive, coverage find related test. We pass RSpec change file path. So yeah, we pass it to find related test, because that file, that's the file I talked about before. It contains both the changes from the MR, the file names, plus those mappings.
Wow.
So we are passing the fixtures to find related tests. Yeah.
What's at the very end of this line? Can we see what's at the very end of this line? Just keep going. Oh, that's the sequencer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's really interesting. So assuming that means if something would have changed a fixture, we know how to tell what Jest test requires that fixture. I could see it still having a problem when we call them load HTML fixture method. Because the find related test that Jest does, I think, is only able to work off of imports. And the load HTML fixture, I think if you can jump into that module, helpers is actually an alias for
helpers fixtures,
it's actually I think down one more, not this one. It's
okay.
If you go back to
this one you meant.
Down one more. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, load HTML, set HTML. Oh yeah, of course. And this one is
Git fixture is, what is it doing? It's joining to path and it's reading the file from the file system. So none of that import tree dependency stuff that Jest depends on to find what's related, and none of that gets used when we use this thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So we really shouldn't use this thing.
It's actually one of the suggestions from the issue I saw here. It was to say encourage using static import statements rather than helper methods, or that test mapping. Yeah, I think now the person that wrote this was really, she's on PTO for 2 weeks, so I couldn't ask her, but she's way deeper in the problem than I am. But yeah, I see the problem at least with load HTML fixture.
Let's see if we can. How many of these do we have? It's not that many, right?
Great question.
It says 100 and it's
49.
That's not that
55, sorry. Yeah, it's all right. And some are loading something called fixture.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a file. Okay.
I think we could. Do you want to see if we can fix one of these while we're here? Maybe we could do that to the CI variable list one.
Sure. CI variable. Oh yeah. This one here.
Right. So the one thing I think we'll need to figure out is because we need to tell Jest how we want it to treat these files we want to import. Importing JSON is easy for Jest, for Node, because Node just treats it like a JSON object. We want these to just import it raw. Don't do any transformation to it or anything like that. I don't know if we're already doing this with any other kind of Jest thing. So can we go to our Jest config file first? It'd be the base one. Yeah. So let's scroll down and maybe do a file search for raw. Oh, there we go.
The last one.
Oh. I think that sounds right. Can we look for HTML here at all? We don't do we have anything that does HTML? No.
HTML void element.
That's
it,
probably nothing. Oh, hey, Miracle.
Morning.
Yeah, let's just for right now, let's add HTML to the end of this. At the end of this list here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to commit it. I wouldn't want to merge it like this, because I think I'd want to scope it only to fixtures that we're loading with HTML. Right now, this is saying any HTML import that Jest finds, we're going to do the raw transformation, which I'm not entirely sure if this is in sync with how we load Webpack modules. So we, unfortunately, Jest and Webpack load things in differently, but we really want them to kind of load them the same. So again, it's this config we have to keep an eye on. But let's see if we can import it like this and it raw transforms. Let's go to the CI variable list and see if we can change our load HTML fixture to just an import of test fixtures, pipeline schedule, edit.
So import. I'm going to copy one that you said before.
Yeah. I think it's underscore fixtures.
There you go. It makes more sense. Yeah. Go.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm gonna call it. Oh, it doesn't matter, right? Or could I?
It doesn't
Because
matter.
we're not referencing. Okay. Testing. Capital team. David testing, so that it doesn't from this one and test fixtures with fixture.json though.
Nice. Yeah. No, well, so we'll want to do HTML. Because we'll
Yeah, of
that
course.
.html is not only telling it where to look, but also we're using the raw transformer.
Yes. Okay, gotcha.
The we're not going to use load HTML fixture. Is there any other load HTML fixture in this file? Oh, there is another one. Oh, is it just those?
Oh yeah, two of them.
Edit with variables.
And edit with variables, both of them.
Okay, let's get that one then. Maybe we want to call it. Maybe we want to promote it. Okay, we can call it David test.
Yeah,
that's good enough. All right.
Yeah. Edit with variables. There you go.
Yeah. Can we go to that place where we did load HTML fixtures? And that, because I think there's one just called set HTML or something. Yes. Yes. So instead of load HTML fixture, we'll just set HTML fixture to the content that we imported.
Okay. Set HTML fixture. So what should I change here? Sorry.
So I was just double checking that we had that function on line 28. I didn't know if that was actually a thing or not. So we do. That's great. We can go back to our spec file. And instead of load HTML fixture, we'll import on line 2. We'll need to import set HTML fixture.
Okay, set HTML fixture.
Yeah, and then on line 15, we'll replace we'll add into the new line. Instead of load HTML fixture, we'll do set HTML fixture for David testing.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Set HTML fixture. And just like that. Okay.
Yep.
So HTML, I'm just going to do the other ones. David testing 2. Okay. Good. That should be it, yeah?
Yeah. So let's run this test and see how it goes.
So you'll have to tell me if I run Jest specs correctly. Because what I'm doing is that guy. With that. So like this, right?
Yeah, I would just run yarn Jest and pass the path to the test. You don't have to do find test bit, but cool, it works, right?
Did it? Yay! Awesome. Okay.
So I think what we have stumbled upon is an epic that we can create to move everything away from using load HTML fixture, and we want to ultimately remove load HTML fixture. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's something we can crowdsource to contributors and front end and stuff. If we just highlight all the offenses, and maybe we can add something that we don't use it anymore, and here's what we do instead. So
that'd be super cool, yeah, because then you would definitely unlock those testing. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Thanks for this. For me, that was a really deep dive, so thank you so much for that. It was really great.
The reason, one more thing just to highlight is, and you may are and likely are already aware of it, but I don't believe Jest can follow dependency trees unless the imports are statically at the top. If you do like dynamic importing and stuff, I don't think it's going to be able to follow those. And that's why we wouldn't just be able to replace the implementation of load HTML fixture, because we need these imports to be static at the top. And I know that Jest handles that especially, and Node as well. Like that's a general thing there. So yeah, cool.
Yeah. That makes, yeah, that makes sense. It opens the, yeah, I'll check this one. And I think with having those mappings, if we were to engineer those mappings, we could probably do something even without place. I mean, replacing it would be great, but assuming like there's another kind of dynamic loading, I think we could in Ruby or whatever, we could just parse those. I could check for all the files, having load HTML fixture. I take what's afterwards, and I just run the specs associated to this one. I mean, we could probably, it's hacky, more hacky than importing, but something can be done at least.
Right. I think I agree with what you're saying. I think though, like, since we're not abusing it that much, and we really should avoid like file system reads and tests, and like let's just avoid it all together. Is like maybe that's just the thing to do. So, do you want to create you can even just stub the content of it and ping me on it. We can collaborate and fill out the list of the epic for it. If you want to take a whack at creating an epic to clean these things out, and then
of course,
ping me on
gladly.
it, we can collaborate on the description of however we want to do it. So
it sounds fantastic. Yeah. I'll just yeah, exactly. I'm gonna stub it. I'm just gonna put the things, and then you can come and
cool. Yeah, that
details.
I think that sounds great. And then if you want to create an MR of this one, that would be fantastic. You can just create an MR of the changes we made, except for one thing I think we should update, which is the Jest config.
Yeah, this one you mentioned, yeah.
Right. Instead of transforming all HTML, I'm inclined to want to only transform test fixture HTML. And so that would just mean below this, we would add a regex that starts with test fixture and ends with .html, and that is the one that goes to raw transform. So yeah, we could do that here.
Yeah. I'll just to do.
Add
regex for text fixture. That's cool. Yeah. I'll try something here. I'll make an MR with that one. So cool. MR and Epic sounds great. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Feel free to ping me on it. I'm happy to. We've put together a number of these like MRs, a number of these epics with issues targeted at fix this file. Here's instructions for how to do it, and that's always super helpful. So nice.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. Really, really interesting.
Cool. No, I'm glad. This is an interesting problem. Thanks for bringing it up. Yeah. Hey, did you have Miracle? Did you have something that you were hoping to work on?
I am working on something. It's just not anything front end. So
is it cookies?
Of course it is.
Okay. Cool. Let's do it. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll stop sharing my screen.
And that's probably great because David here with a strong back end experience, he'll be able to help out way more than I would.
Fingers crossed.
I actually finally figured out the issue that I had brought up. And what it was that Jessie meant when she was talking about, this is the right area. Sorry, I have so many VS Code windows open. I wasn't sure if this was the right one. What Jessie meant when she was talking about that active session Ruby file.
Oh, nice.
Cool. So my cookie now works. The only thing that I'm working on is my final test. And I haven't really wrote that many RSpec request tests. And so this is not the right spice. Yeah, this is not right. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Nope, you're fine. But that's great. So now it's just testing it.
Yes, I'm writing my last test and I don't know where everything went. I thought I was here. Okay, you know what? Let me stop sharing and reopen stuff. But yeah, my issue is that I don't like my last test. I need to expire a session and make sure my cookie has been deleted with the session expire. But I'm not quite sure how to do that in a request spec. Just because it's more of a controller spec thing.
Yeah.
And I've tried a few different ways.
That's a really good question. Yeah, that's a really good question.
Oh, that explains why I couldn't find anything. I'm on the wrong branch.
Man.
But yeah.
So is it does it make, or are you trying to fix, is this a new test, or is this we're trying to fix a test that got broken?
This is a new test. Oh, this is my whole screen. Sorry guys, it's my very first Zoom call.
Oh, that's no, you're totally fine. If you want to share your whole screen too, that works as well. But this is a nice font too. This is a good font size.
Cool. So these are the tests that I've done so far. Basically, when the user signs in, the cookie's there. When they sign out, the cookie's not there. And then when they hit remember me, the cookie is there. The one that I'm struggling with is this one.
Yeah.
I've tried deleting the session cookie. I've tried using a few methods like reset session, session expire. And then I also tried setting up a helper method and then calling it here. And for whatever reason, I can get the session to expire. My cookies don't delete. And I know that this works locally because I've been sitting here watching it happen for a few hours.
Oh. Okay. So one idea is it possible for us to, rather than waiting for this to expire, could we test that the response cookie about GitLab active user was created with some sort of expiration? Does that make sense?
Yes, but also I think that's done by default. So when okay, yeah. So because I didn't actually set an expire key here, it should just expire with the session. And then if I hit it locally, it expires with session.
I see. Oh, interesting.
Could you please go back to the session spec quickly? So how do you actually, so first of all, zero experience in that domain. I just did a lot of RSpec, so happy to help. Here, how do you simulate? So then the session expires, so your context here, it's implicitly done, right? So it's, as you said, it's implicitly when you do that post on user session path, we assume that the session is expired, or is it when you actually delete the cookie in the test?
Oh,
I'm not sure.
This is just to sign in the user, so I actually have a session running, and then I wanted to expire the session and then make sure the cookie was deleted. And so this line is the one where I was just throwing caution to the wind. This is actually the session cookie that gets set when you sign in, and I thought maybe if I just delete this cookie, then it'll expire a session, and then my cookie will no longer exist.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see. So okay, yeah. Okay, so you drop the session and then you expect the other cookie to be gone. Okay.
Yes. So does the cookies, all right. Can you explain what's going on in the active session thing? Because yeah, that seems really interesting. And
oh yeah, because we
I feel like there's a lot of cool things to learn there. You glanced over it. I was like, oh man, this seems so much fancier than what we were doing.
Oh yeah. So all I did was create okay, there. Just two methods that set and unset a cookie.
Cool.
And then what I finally figured out is that devise use Gordon to start sessions. So there's two methods in here called after authentication. Or rather three methods: after authentication, after set user, and then before logout. So after authentication is where the remember me variable lives. And so if I have my cookie set here, whenever someone clicks that remember me check, then my cookie will be set. It also expires with the remember me variable. The only thing I couldn't quite figure out is how to directly pull the expiration time from the remember me cookie into my cookie. Because if I did it here, it blew up the pipeline because it was expecting me to test something here, and I was expecting me to test a method here, and I didn't have a method. And then if I pulled if I pulled the expiration from that cookie here, they just didn't line up at the same time because this was running before this. So this was always later than the remember me cookie. But because I have this all set up in this method where remember me is set, even though my cookie's expiration technically says session, it follows the remember me cookie's expiration.
Oh, wow.
And then this, yes.
Great.
And then this is for a regular sign-in. So after you sign in, it sets your user. So if my user just hits the sign in button, then my cookie is set. And then this one deletes everything when the session ends or when you log out.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. I see. And I think that may be the difference. Or I think my brain's hooked on something. That one deletes that. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was thinking like I could call this method inside of the active session destroy method, and maybe that'll solve all my problems.
Like calling it from the spec?
No, so I have this active session destroy session method, and I could call my unset active user cookie inside of that destroy session method, and maybe that solves all of my problems.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No. I'm not sure what the problem that might solve, but I can see how that'd be really helpful. The problem that I'm thinking of right now is, yeah, how do we test the case of this new cookie, last as long as the session when it expires with request specs? Because that's really interesting. And looking at Warden, I think we would have to trigger another request, but the time would have to be after the expiration. And so you could do like time traveling in our specs. And so then we can trigger another request, and the request then, like, that's when it would delete stuff. And that might work. But then my other perspective of it is like, if things get too hard to test, I have to ask yourself, I guess you're always forced to ask yourself, like, how much benefit is this test really doing? And I say this because if you go back to active session and you talked about setting these cookies and you didn't have to give it an expiration, that's kind of already handled for you. That means that there's not really a line of code where a bug could be introduced. And that's really like the test we can get from the test perspective, you can get like full use case coverage, but it really means like you're going to probably be covering multiple lines multiple times. The other way of thinking about it is like, is all of the code sufficiently value covered? And because if we don't have to test the framework itself, so if something is just too tough to test, I wouldn't be afraid to just tap out and ask a maintainer or someone and be like, I can't figure this out, but all the other lines are covered, so we should be good.
Okay.
But that's totally your call. But I do think it'd be fun to try to figure it out. Yeah. But what was the problem that you're thinking of with adding a call to unset with the destroy session?
Oh, as I was explaining to you what was going on in this Warden file, I realized that before logout only really handles the logout. It doesn't actually destroy the session. This is what destroys the session. And I did not call my unset active user cookie method at all inside of this one.
I see.
Maybe I did that when I intentionally destroyed this. It'll get called explicitly instead of implicitly.
Yeah, so when you hit the request specs, does it hit these? Like, does these initialize? I have no idea. Do these initializer modules get loaded for the request spec?
Yes, if you do it
Okay.
in a weird way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So there's a couple lines. I found this out the hard way. Let me see here. So like if I use this method login user, it doesn't actually doesn't actually meet my initializers, but I use session pass or user session pass, then it does.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Oh, and there's a whole, okay. All right. Okay. Can you go back? Let's go down to your tests again that you added. I'm curious about something. So we already have where the user signs out. Is that one working where we post the user session path? Oh, then we post the destroy user. Yes, got it, got it, got it, got it. Cool, cool, cool. All right, but now we're here just saying, okay, have we just completely expired?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Could we and I think the way to test this would be to time travel. Uh do you know how to I don't remember how to time travel in RSpec.
I know how to do it for controller specs and not request specs.
I think it's the same.
Okay. Then I did it in. Sorry, I'm looking at my
travel to most probably would be the one. I'm not sure if we don't use time cop, right? We use Rails most probably for that. But I think it's travel to, travel from, yeah, one of those.
But we travel to like next year.
Yeah.
It should be expired by then, right?
Yeah, it only lasts 2 weeks.
All right, let's overcompensate and travel to next year.
Okay.
Just to be sure.
Is it travel too? Is that what we
decided
it
have to
was?
check that. Yeah, travel to and block.
Oh, it is travel to. Cool.
Oh
yeah, you could do travel to and then parentheses. Oh man, why is Ruby so you could do one? I know from now. Dot from now. What kind of language is this?
I can't stand these 2B nils. Like, why is it that B nil has an underscore and 2B does not? I mean,
yeah,
it's really excellent. Oh, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, like technically I could add it, but
so the answer is actually amazing. I find it amazing because B underscore will match a method. So nil is going to be the nil question mark method. You could do be false, be true, be empty, be any method your object has. It will be B underscore. Yeah. For instance, if you have an empty method defined, you can say be empty. Or it's just to sound more English. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I find it super nice.
That is really interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Travel to, I'm looking at some examples and it looks like, oh yeah, it looks like we can just do it like that. It looks like from now actually has an underscore. So it's from underscore now.
Yeah. And you need block afterwards. So do an end, just like your test. Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to do a block?
No. Well, I think. Wait. Just calling it like this, but then you would have to reset it, right? Then you would have to say apparently travel back. And I think if you do the block,
I see.
It's just gonna roll it back afterwards. Yeah.
I see.
It's probably easier.
So then I think we just want to post to anywhere. Like I don't think like maybe rather than or just get anywhere. I don't even think we need to post, but just some sort of.
These are.
I mean, maybe get user session path. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And let's see. Have you already tried something like this?
Not exactly. I tried just setting the session expiry or the session date to be like in 3 weeks, and then the expiration should have updated.
Got it.
I haven't actually used like the travel to method. So when you were saying thinking of something else.
Do you happen to have bybug installed? The gem
I
bybug?
do.
Okay, because then I think, I mean, I found that like, I don't know, 3 times every minute. I would probably do a bybug right after the get user session so that you can inspect the response.
Okay.
But it's just, so otherwise I'm going to say, yeah, it should be nil. It's not. Yeah, it's up to you. And I think also a note on this, on debugging, on bybug, I'm wondering if it wouldn't even work in the initializer in your warden.rb. If you wanted, I think you could also put, because I suspect that the initializer is run when you boot the app.
Yes.
But I think the block is lazily loaded, right? So it should be, the method should be called when your spec is called. And I suspect if you put a bybug there, it's gonna block, and you can inspect also what you were curious about before in Warden. Like, is it actually going there, or is it resetting or not? Yeah. Yeah. Just a side note.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna run this again and see what we get.
I'm gonna search for any other kind of test where we do where we're testing for expiration stuff. I'm gonna see what we do.
So I've seen people like set the expiration for like the Redis store and everything, but not exactly like our session store.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is still retaining true in my response.
Is that the only cookie? Is the about GitLab active user?
It looks like it. Because I printed the whole response.
Yeah. Would we can we go ahead and exit and continue this one and just to double check that we're actually changing something by traveling? Can we travel to 0 years from now? And is traveling even, my question is traveling even changing anything at all? Like, we can comment it out if we want to, or travel to 1 second from now or something like that.
Or call time.now, and then you should see 2024.
Oh, I was actually sorry.
Yeah.
I was actually saying, can we try running it again without the traveling and seeing what the cookies returned are?
Yeah, okay.
Time is weird, you know. I think it's fascinating how people can do things that cause them to perceive time slower and faster than they normally do, which kind of hints at this whole thing of time kind of being an illusion. But it's not. It's so not. Yet it's strange. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's the only cookie getting back. Is this about GitLab active user?
Yes.
That's
Okay. Maybe I do need to explicitly call this. Where's destroy session? Oh.
Well, right now we're not in our tests, we're not destroying any sessions. Like, nothing, no, right? Nothing, no session should be destroyed in our tests yet.
Oh. Yeah, but if that's the case, then I should at least have like the known sign-in. Where am I? The known sign-in cookie and like the GitLab session cookie.
Right. That's my big question is yes. Yes. Where are other cookies? Oh, there's the other cookies. But request.cookies is not. Oh wait, we did response.cookies. Response.cookies is not only has that one. So in the buy bug, if you do response.cookies, that only gives us that one cookie. We don't get all of them.
Which raises the question, what is the difference between cookies and request.cookies?
Yeah.
Cool, there is a Stack Overflow about this. They should be the same, they say. However, in post, Rails verifies the XSRF token. Okay.
Maybe it's because some of these start with the underscore. Maybe like that causes them to be hidden when we try to do just regular cookies.
Could be, yeah.
I find it interesting too that cookie is being sent back.
Oh, I didn't
We
realize
wouldn't.
I accidentally muted myself.
No, you're fine. Uh, were you gonna say something?
Oh, I find it weird that it's only in response to cookies and not in any other type of cookie jar.
Right. Yep. Hmm.
Mm. If I, let's see, for login, I guess this would now fail.
Hmm. Do you do you want to try oh, what was I thinking? Yeah, I don't know. Have you do we want to look into feature specs at all? Do you think that environment might be a little more helpful because it's more fully integrated with a browser and all the stuff there?
Maybe.
I don't know if you've already thought about it or if you've tried that out already, but that might be easier than request specs for something like this.
I,
Um,
mm,
can I also check just one random thing? Can we do a search across the project for all references to about GitLab active user? Okay, yeah, it's just in that active session one. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cookies delete. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess last dish effort was to do this.
Yeah.
What did I call this? I guess it should be something like that.
Is it a if it's in the same model, does it need the I have no idea about Ruby. Does it need the active session name, or can you just call it without the active session name, or do you have to do self or something? I have no idea.
I don't really know either. So I thought I'll try active session first, and then if
Good
that
idea.
doesn't work, then I'll try self.
Good idea.
Um, okay, and then shoot, what was I doing? Was it session expire?
With the time traveling or with the were you doing
Oh,
what you were doing before?
I was doing what I was doing before, but I could try to find problem.
Um,
I
I think
think you were just
before
dropping the cookie, right?
It's something like this.
yeah.
Mhm.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
before we were deleting the response, the we called like delete on the response cookies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was my last ditch effort yesterday. Oh,
Uh-oh.
why? How did I fail the first test? That's not a test I wrote.
Off cookies. Oh, it looks like
Oh,
given
I
to
need to, yeah, I forgot to pass its argument. Oh, I need off here. And I think we have something weird going on with this method where I can't change beyond the arguments given without blowing something up. And it's only created here and called in Warden. Well, if I could spell on.
I think the error if you go back to the active session one, I think it wasn't about this method. I think it was about on line 112.
Line 112.
Probably your line 112 is calling this one because you see right under in the stack trace, right under it says line 147, and which was the line you were at before.
Yeah, it's because
I see how that needs. Oh, that's interesting, and I see how it needs off. Okay.
But it should be reversed. Like the stack trace is misleading.
That is misleading.
Yeah. I think it's because when you have those before blocks and stuff like that, it would just I got used to it, but it's completely unintuitive. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I had no idea what the stack trace was saying. That was so weird. It was. Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. This is it. Oh, yeah, this is it. Oh.
This pen, no.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be really, really hard to figure this out. And I'm inclined to, you know, what you just added of like, oh yeah, we're hooking into the destroy session method, which is the single source of truth. Whenever we need to destroy a session, we're gonna get rid of this thing. Like, oh, that sounds like, yeah, you can just cover that with the unit test. We don't necessarily need a more integrated test for that. But if we wanted to do a more integrated test, I can see the benefit to it, but it sounds, I'm not sure how to trigger that. Would be, and I couldn't find any other kind of examples that were triggering some sort of expired session thing either.
Yeah. The never-ending loop with this specific problem.
Yeah, I think the fact that we may not have a whole lot of other specs dealing with testing at this level might indicate that we're kind of okay just leaning into the framework and assuming that the framework does its thing. But I don't know. Yeah. These other tests seem great though.
Cool. Then yeah, I'll just ping my maintainer.
Yeah.
And
Man, these cookie problems are hard.
I'll be glad when it's over.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing it up. That was really interesting. Appreciate it, Miracle.
Yeah.
Thanks for working at it. And as you keep bringing it up, I'm learning so much about, and I really appreciate seeing this latest iteration of like, whoa, is that what the active session thing is for? And like all of the things I had no idea meant anything. So that was really, really helpful and educational.
Oh yeah, I ended up in like the bowels of Stack Overflow that Chat GPT couldn't touch, which is where I solved the problem. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe the original search is always better.
Did you get to meet with Julie, Jamie?
Jesse?
Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
okay. I feel so bad about that. Did you guys get to record that pairing session, or did not work out to record it?
I think that was in the last backend pairing session where we kind of did it was really cool. I think it was her and another senior backend engineer, and a lot of the things they talked about went right over my head, and they were talking about the specific problem.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. All right. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Yeah, I didn't realize. Sorry, so late. So yeah, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for pairing. Appreciate bringing up the interesting issues. All right.
Yeah.
I'll catch you all later.
Thank you very much for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
Next time.